You are too far in. You have come too far. You're so involved that you cannot quit. It doesn't matter what difficulties you encounter, what roadblocks that may await you, who may disapprove of the actions that you must take in order to gain what you must, in order to be who you want to be. You've come too far to get rejected by the bank and put your business aside. You've come too far to live a normal life. You've come too far to give up and be a brokey. Good morning, Austin.
Yeah, salutations, good morning. And, back to being a brokey, the difference between, we're not calling you brokies unless you are a brokey. Hey, you want to change it. If you know you're a brokey, you want to change it, that's great. If you're a brokey, you don't want to change it, then you're a brokey. But the difference between the brokies and the people that are not broke, more often than not, and I heard this or saw this on a video where a wealthy guy was talking about this, was the fact that most people who don't get where they want to in life, they quit maybe one decision too soon or a couple decisions too soon. They didn't know how close they were to having a breakthrough that could potentially change their life exponentially. They give up. And they get to a certain part and they say, look, man, I'm going to just turn around. This is getting too difficult for me. I'm turning around. But a lot of people do this early. So I would say about, just throwing out random numbers here, but I would say about 80%, maybe 90%, give up in a span of, I would say, some months, maybe 3 to 6 months. They realize, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Fuck no. And then after that, I would say that those 10 to 20%, they keep going for some time. They'll give it like a year or two or some years, right? But once you quit at 3 to 6 months, you didn't really lose too much because you didn't put too much skin in the game. You weren't doing this for that long to where you lost that much. So you're more content with giving up around that time because you didn't do this for that long. However, you got to think about those people that are in this for a year plus. And they've been making sacrifices for a year plus. And if you're doing the same thing for an extended period of time, especially a year plus, the same exact thing, you've probably become somewhat of a subject matter expert on that thing if you're doing it day in and day out for a year plus. So for you to just give that up at that point, you're basically restructuring your entire life because you've been doing something day in and day out for a year plus. So those people who quit at that point, it's a lot harder to quit, or it means a lot more and it has more repercussions if you do quit at that point because you've sacrificed, you've put in so much sweat equity that you quitting at that point could be catastrophic, more catastrophic than you quitting at month 3. So it gets to a certain point when you swam so far into the lake, into the river, you're about midway through. And you look back and you see the current. When you look back and it's like, fuck, if I go back, it's going to be a lot harder for me to go back. The current's going this way. It might be an undertow. It's just you don't know how the experience would be going back. It could be more dangerous going back. And some people try to go that way. And again, their life is forever changed because they rerouted at mile 5 of 10, but they didn't know it was 10. So instead of turning around, you got to say, fuck it, man. I've been doing this for so long. I've given up so much. I've allocated so much time and money and resources to this thing. I'm just going to keep going, because at this point I damn near have no choice. Either my life will be forever ruined or just cataclysmic, or I'll keep fucking going. And I feel like most people are going to reach a point where you're going to have to face that decision and make that choice. And I would say more often than not, because there may be some people where, this is just not for you. But for the people that I think we're talking to, it is for you. You're going to have to make that choice of sticking it out, because you're too far in this shit.
A quote from Alex Hormozy.
Oh, really?
You're going to lose sleep. You'll doubt whether it'll work. You'll stress to make ends meet. You won't finish your to-do list. You'll wonder if you made the right call and have no way to know for years. This is what hard feels like, and that's okay. You cannot fall into the trap of feeling the heat or feeling the pressure or feeling the pain. It's the same risk as it's always been. There is one ultimate failure, and that ultimate failure is that you are no longer here. Besides that, the playing field is equal. Now, it might be very, very difficult in the moment to understand that your problem is not as big as you think it is. And Alex Hormozy has a funny thing that he tells Layla Hormozy, his wife, when they're falling into the pit of complaining. He goes, did you know if you zoom out far enough, you don't even see the earth? And now you might be like, okay, that's stupid. Yes, of course, unless you think the earth is flat. I digress. However, it really does make sense. There's so many small things that we make a lot bigger, and we put more value in, we put more of our energy and our time into them as if they were apparently more important than something else. It could be something that a certain individual said rubbed you the wrong way. It could be that a certain product launch failed, or that an entire business failed. And then you allow that to deter you from fulfilling your purpose and continuing in these difficult pursuits where you're going against the grain, you're going against the current, and you're trying to establish your own grain in your own current. And you look at the difficult times, the uncertainty, the failures, the rejections, what have you, and you take them with full seriousness. In our experience, you need to take these things with a grain of salt. You need to learn from them, but you can't dwell on them. As we've talked on this podcast multiple times, if you focus on the past, you have no bandwidth to focus on the future. The focusing on the past should be only for two things. One, reminiscing in small key moments. And two, learning from mistakes, situations, circumstances, or what have you. Besides that, as Sachio from Megalobox says, if you keep looking back, you might as well grow eyes on your ass.
I've never heard
that. You haven't gotten to that episode yet. And I thought that was a very funny and cute quote. It's a kid from an anime, and he's telling the main character, quit looking back. If you keep looking back, you might as well grow eyes on your ass, because that's the only place you're looking.
What a wise kid.
What a wise kid, man. But Austin, I think you have something here about rocket ships?
Yes. So just to give a little brief description. Say you get in a rocket ship, right? And a rocket ship is different than a plane, of course. You get on a plane, you start to fly a little bit, and something can happen. There could be a change in weather, severe change in weather, which causes you to turn back. And in a plane, you can turn back. You can literally just fly this way, turn around, and then land back at the same airport that you were just at, no problem. Not a big deal. But I would say most of the time, business, especially when you're far in, it's like a rocket ship. Once you're in that shit and you're flying, like you're off the ground at this point. You can't really turn that shit around. It's not made so that you can turn around, especially when you're still within the Earth's atmosphere. It's not constructed to do that.
And if it does turn around, there's a problem because you'll have to contend with gravity and the force that you've accumulated.
Exactly.
So that turnaround is more of what we would consider a smashing into oblivion.
Yeah.
Or to the next dimension.
Yeah. It's not the fun turnaround, I'll tell you that. And just look at how the plane is structured. Look at how the rocket ship is structured. One is structured for more like flight like a bird, Most things, oddly enough, how people constructed them and still to this day, people look at nature to see how they're going to construct something. So if you see the fins on a fish or something like that, looks similar to the fins or sails on a boat or things like that. Like people structure things based off of what they see in the world and what animals are doing in the world because they clearly work. So if you look at a plane, it's more so structured like a bird. Planes and birds are kind of, they look very similar. Planes can turn around, birds can turn around when it comes to flight. However, when you look at a rocket ship, it's basically like a fucking pencil. Just like this, going straight up. Like its one job is to go straight up and to get through fucking Earth's atmosphere. That's damn near I don't know the percentages, but I feel like that's basically the biggest part of constructing a rocket ship is to make sure everything is okay so that it has what it needs to get through Earth's atmosphere. After that, when there's no fucking gravity, I'm not going to say it's smooth sailing, but it's smoother sailing than when you're in Earth's atmosphere. So when you're thinking about business, think of it like a rocket ship. You're getting in this thing and you've constructed it in such a way that it's damn near success or cataclysmic failure. That's how it is.
This might sort of be off topic, but I saw this video last night and I wanted to share it to you, but it was so late that I was like, I'll just show it to you in the morning. Of the peregrine falcon.
Oh boy, yes. Tell them about the peregrine falcon, man.
So the peregrine falcon is the fastest animal in the world. Mm-hmm. And the way that the peregrine falcon hunts is that it dives at speeds of around 200 miles per hour and puts its wings in to increase its aerodynamicity, and it essentially smashes its prey and stuns them or knocks them out or even just kills them instantaneously. Correct. The peregrine falcon is like an arrow. It's single-mindedly one shot diving to absolutely demolish its prey. Now, don't think that this is a one and done. The peregrine falcon will literally dive multiple times at the same target. It will just into birds in midair. It'll hit snakes. It'll hit small animals. It'll kill chicken in one hit. In life, you need to be like the peregrine falcon. You need to be, and it's funny, somebody was like, that's probably where the falcon punch came from.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
It really could have been the origin. But you need to be like the peregrine falcon. You need to have the capacity to have a singularity of focus and proceed at 200 miles an hour. But you also have to be able to turn on a dime and pivot. Not to stop, to pivot. Because you have goals and targets that you need to run to. But you need to truly aim directly at where you're going. We're not advocating for just pursuing things with absolute tenacity to the point that you burn out. Like a peregrine falcon, you have to calculate your target, and then you have to attack it. And once you've overcome it, then you proceed to the next. It's very simple, but a lot of times you can get lost in the process. You can over-pursue targets that are irrelevant, unedible prey, things of that sort, things that are not nutritious. And you can also miss the target because the target can be deceiving. You could be looking at one of those one of the fake ducks, per se, used for hunting. And you could profusely attack that duck, and you realize it's not real, and you wasted 5, 10, 15 dives, which is a substantial amount of energy and time. The best move on that chessboard is to just move on and to proceed to the next bit of prey. And now you've learned.
And like you said, when the peregrine falcon is hunting, there could be times where it misses a lot and it has to do the shit again and again and again. But here's the thing. When it is mid-dive, it's not going to be able to just turn around. If it is going 200 miles per hour and then decides to just quickly make a U-turn, the shit is not going to work. You're going too fast. You might be able to adjust a little bit here, a couple degrees there, but you're still in that dive and you're still focused on the target. You're too far in. You're going too fast to just turn around. So what you have to do, in my opinion, like Jose was saying, is you have to keep going and keep trying. One failed attempt going that fast is not the end all be all. It might suck that you missed the prey. Yes, of course. The peregrine falcon might not eat for some time because his striking points or just the birds or whatnot that he was going after, they saw him, whatever. But he has to keep going. And in my opinion, it is much better and you learn more. And I feel like the peregrine falcon learns more by trying and trying again and seeing it through from start to finish and realizing what went wrong because you saw it through from start to finish, as opposed to saying mid fucking flight, I'm just going to stop and I'm going to turn around. You don't learn shit that way. Once you fucking start something and then at fucking, again, mile 2 of a 10-mile fucking race, you turn around, you don't learn how shit feels by mile 8, because you know that when we run, at a certain point, shit starts to get different. At a certain point, your breathing has to be more dialed in, because if you breathe recklessly, you're actually expelling more energy than reserving it and conserving it. And your legs might get heavier. Your knee might hurt a little bit more by this point in time. The trail might get a little bit different at this point in time. So you're going to have to kind of account for that because you're going more uphill than downhill. All of these little nuances that you wouldn't have figured out otherwise if you didn't get all the way to that point. So again, when you're going to mile 2 and turning around, or you're going short distances and just turning around and saying, hey, I quit, I give up, you're not learning how things happen, at the point where it's closer to success. And you don't even realize where the finish line is. Because as you get closer to success and you try more and you go through more things, and the further and further you get into this thing, you start to realize how close you could be to success. Because I feel like over the last couple of weeks, especially, we've tasted some success in this. Because before, I would say with certain things, we weren't just tasting success like that often. But now we tasted a lot of it, finally. And we have something that people enjoy, finally. And people are asking us for this shit more than we even have the supply right now, finally. So now we've gotten to a point to where we're so far in, we've gotten a taste of success. We can see the finish line. So you're too far in at that point to just say, I'm just going to turn around. You put so much shit into this. You've seen what it's like to win. You've almost grasped the whole thing to make it seem like you have the opportunity to win at a large amount. Why would you turn around?
Why? The AM Club Podcast.
Signing out.
Mic check.
The AM Club Podcast.